Ed Lucero is going to talk to us about reconstruction project at Velarde, which is south of Embudo on the Rio Grande, north of Espanola. There's a series of 6 or 7 diversion dams in there. And the first one is the one right next to the highway after you're past the winery there as you enter the canyon. And Ed's going to share some pictures and some news about some possible construction efforts going on up there. So if you want to take it away now, Ed.
Okay. First, I want to thank you for your time today, everybody. And I want to let you know that it was having the pool session open years ago that really helped me. It taught me how to roll when I lived in Albuquerque years ago, and sent me on a great, marvelous adventure. So thank you for your river advocacy. Thank you very much. Let me go to this picture here of the whole area that I'm talking about. Where the green circle is where the diversion is that I'm talking about. One of the things that makes this location great, it is at the exit of the canyon. So it's not in the canyon for people driving across the road. It's a real safe place. It's also owned by BLM, the land around the diversion. So right now, that section from Embudo to Velarde, let me go to another picture here, is really an underutilized section of river. People don't really boat that much. I do because I live in Embudo, and it's just a beautiful straight stretch. It's a great stretch for drift boat fishermen. It's a great stretch for people who are beginners. There's no strainers on that stretch. There's also not private property on the main part of the stretch. So there's not issues with people, there's the Chile line on River Right, which is kind of where that yellow line is. That's the old railroad grade. So it's like a perfect section to have like a nice bike path on the old train line, which is all on BLM property. And then to get traffic off the highway and onto a bike path where people could actually do a bike shuttle. So you can see there at the bottom, that little yellow circle, that's kind of what I'm thinking of would be like this great location for a Velarde beach, which is also a takeout for that Velarde stretch, which like I said, this could be the run that I feel like we're really lacking. That's easy access, a class 2 run, something that people could put their kids on an inner tube and not worry about them getting caught up in a inner.
The slide didn't switch, so we don't have the yellow line that you're talking about.
Thank you for letting me know that, and we'll try to do it right now. Okay, so do you see that slide?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the section I'm talking about right now. So it's a class 2 section. There's 4 really cool petroglyphs in there that are totally untarnished. That section there at Velarde Beach, the only thing that makes it difficult right now to take out is there's no takeout. You're kind of forced to run the diversion. We've actually kind of hacked in a little takeout, which I'll show you in the last slide in case you want to run that section. There's a little trail. There's just not much parking. As a matter of fact, I know a guy a few years ago that got caught up in one of the diversions and like had half of his leg ripped off. He's lucky that he survived. But you're kind of forced when you go around these diversions to get out on River Right or River Left, and that's right where the intakes are. So it's really kind of dangerous because they're overgrowth. So I'm kind of thinking this would be a win-win for people. Not only do we open up a new section of river that's class 2, that's great for beginner surfers, also only 5 miles long. And we make that dangerous diversion navigable and safe, Okay, let me go to the next slide here. Okay, so this is actually right there in Velarde, and the green circle is going around the diversion that I'm talking about. Right now, they close the river up. That raises the river up into the ditches, and they let the rest of the water just kind of go down the right and left diversion channels. So what I'm thinking would be cool is in the middle, there's actually a place, in the middle of that diversion where it actually goes down about 6 inches. There's a lot of drop there. So instead of letting that water just go down this spillway, they could let it go down a center spillway. So this is like, we're not taking any water away from the acequias system. We're just surfing what's going by naturally. and making it navigable. As you can see, that whole river is blocked off. So that diversion there on the right with the green circle is the first of 7 diversions from Velarde all the way to Espanola. And each one of those diversions is like a major portage and a hazard. And that makes that whole section unrunnable. So, I'm hoping that this could be kind of a watershed to open up all those sections, not by taking water away, but by making each one of those diversions safe and navigable. Each one of those diversions holds potential to be an incredible play spot, surf wave, beach location. And I know this may sound a little out if you haven't been watching the river surfing scene grow, but river surfing is, it's very affordable. For $300 you can get a foam board delivered to your door, by UPS, buy it on eBay or Amazon or whatever. I mean, they're very, it's not so expensive as it is to have a raft or a canoe or a kayak, which cost you thousands. Another nice thing is this is in a town where there's actually kids living. There's people living here. The New Mexico Fishing Game built a wave below Abiqui, and it's having great success, but it's really kind of an adult feature. It does, it's starting to grow a community, but it's of people, older. When I say older, I mean like 20-year-old and above older people that can travel to Abiqui. And, it's doing pretty good for being out in the middle of nowhere, not next to a town. But whereas this is like right in Velarde, which would, be great. Okay, let me get another photo going here. Okay, so this is, as I shared, a picture of the actual diversion from looking at it from the west side looking east. So Highway 68 is on the far side there, and that's that actual diversion. So you can see the 2 spillways. The one with the graffiti is on river right, and the graffiti on the other side is river left. And so if the spillway went, what you can't see is right in the middle of that diversion is a little step down in the concrete. And, from what I've heard is there's money now, it might be from the state. I'm not sure where the money's from, but they need to rebuild these diversions. They've been around since the early 70s, and there's a lot of silt and debris that's built up in these diversions, which is it just seems like the perfect time to kind of rearrange them a little bit, make them navigable, and, in the best case scenario, have a great surf wave here. Right now, there's already a lot of people, these aren't boaters, they're just public that come and use Embudo as a beach, where Embudo Station is right across the river. Let me get some more photos going here. And when I say a lot of people, there's probably 20 people visiting a day in the summertime, cars. And it's where they're using it right now is right in the heart of a lot of private land. And, people got to poop, and they're pooping in the bushes. And so that's kind of been a hassle. The private owners around that area are not too happy for that. Whereas, this could take that whole crowd of people, take them out of the canyon where it's dangerous to pull around, and bring them at the entry of the canyon and put some nice bathrooms. The dream project would be is if BLM took a hold of this, made a nice takeout like they have in the state park with some nice bathrooms, and then people could come up from Espanola, that, the people that are already coming up from down south, they have a safe surf place to swim with their kids, and they could even watch people surfing on the wave. It's, towns like Buena Vista and Salida, countless towns in Colorado have made these surf features in town. And it's not the surfers that bring the money to the town. It's the people that come because of the beach vibe going on. People want to go and see people surfing and hang out and be around this fun activity. It's so let me pop on this other photo. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm imagining, so that center channel, the surf wave could be where that word, the surf wave is. The rafting takeout ramps could be where that other green blob is. And then there's Highway 68 right there. And that's right at the entrance to the canyon. Okay, let me go to another picture. Like I said, the dream would be that BLM kind of takes hold of this. And that I'll show you the next picture, which is just to show the private land. So this is a Velarde at the lower page, and those red boxes are private land. And that green circle is the area that I'm talking about, right as you enter the canyon. And the little wave there, that's what I'm talking about at the diversion. Okay. I'm going to show you guys another picture, a little closer top shot. So this is on the bottom of the page is Highway 68. That's that BLM land where it says parking and boat ramps. You know, this is just a quick drawing here. I mean, I'm just trying to show the potential. You know, obviously I'm not attached to any design plans or anything like that, but I'm just showing that the land is available and that it's BLM land. There's that diversion, and where I drew the little wave is where that center channel could be. And the Chile line is there on River Right, going upstream to the right with the yellow arrow. That connects all the way up to Embudo Station. And, you know, the super dream would be if it was public access. Like Embudo Station is actually for sale right now. It's like $700,000. And I'm kind of surprised that nobody's bought it. It would be great if the state bought it somehow or something. And that was the put in Embudo Station, and the takeout was Velarde. And then you clean up that first diversion to make it safe and navigable. And then that opens up, that opens up, like I said, that could be a watershed for all those diversions. That whole section of river down to Espanola that's not runnable, each one of those could be another potential recreation, spot for folks. I feel like New Mexico on the Rio Grande is really like just a gem waiting for this kind of development, to make those diversions safe, not taking water away from the acequia systems, but getting people to fall back in love with the river, to connect with the river. Not, you got to buy what is it now, $2,000 kayak and, $500 dry time, it's crazy. And whereas a surfboard is like a skateboard, you got a couple $100, boom, you're there. Especially on the Rio Grande. I mean, the Rio Grande's warm. The Chama, man, people are surfing over there and it's freaking cold all year long. But that's how addictive these surf waves are. I mean, it's just like, doesn't matter. You'll get the right wetsuit or whatever. And I think it's such a healthy lifestyle that this is what people really need here in northern New Mexico. It's just reconnect with the river, get into something that's addictive like surfing, which, doesn't cost you a lot of money. What's the first thing you do after you learn how to surf? You get up in one spot, you want to go check out another wave. So now you're traveling to, Del Norte has a wave, Pagosa Springs has a wave, Durango has a wave, Pueblo has a wave, Denver has a few waves, Salida has a wave. You know what I mean? It's like just kind of send you on this circuit, and New Mexico could be the gem of that circuit, down the road. I mean, and then if you throw in like Buckman could happen. I mean, Albuquerque could have spots. I'll show you some other pictures that I have of this. I mean, pretty much everything down the Rio Grande has amazing potential, and it's so warm down here.
Ed, we see a lot of people come down from Colorado when they're still snowed in and getting 19 inches of snow last weekend during Buckman. They come down here for early season boating when they got cabin fever.
Totally. And this, like I said, this river surfing is more people. It may not seem like it now. Surfing is a $50 billion a year global industry. I know that sounds crazy. I've asked that number a few times, but it's huge. People, I mean, it's a huge sport. It's, it's not as big as fishing, but it's pretty close and it's growing. It's actually going from, on the coast, it's working its way inland now. And so it's just kind of like this low hanging fruit opportunity. I mean, I got totally addicted to kayaking. It took over my life. Best thing that ever happened to me. But I'm kind of amazed that I was able to pull it off. I mean, it's super expensive. Surfboard, anybody can get into surfboarding and it's super challenging, Okay, going to the next picture here. So this picture is just showing the private land at the other end, at the Embudo side. Okay, so all those red squares are private property. You can see the Embudo Station Bridge right there. And there's two properties that kind of where the Chile line is that has to go through. That guy lives in Albuquerque, and it sounds like he would be willing to let an easement through there. He doesn't live there. He lives in Albuquerque, and people already use that trail. But, you know, another thing is right before that property starts, I had heard that BLM was doing a feasibility study, and they were thinking about using the USGS site, which is right below that last private property. You know, and that's another historic. I mean, the Chile line is historic. All those petroglyphs are historic, but also that station. That's like John Wesley Powell put that in. It's like the first USGS site in the U.S. So that's kind of a historic spot too. Okay. And like I said, that's a 5-mile section of river, a nice mellow short section. This is the other, you know, this is kind of a pipe dream, this part, the Embudo station, but it's just like, God, this place is for sale. I mean, I wish I could get somebody at the BLM interested in that. And that, I guess that's why I'm talking to the Adobe Whitewater Club, is I don't have any ins to talk to anybody as Ed Lucero. But I think that the Adobe Whitewater Club and the New Mexico Boating Group, or, you know, the Southwestern, you know, people here in the Southwest would do a better job than just me as an individual. Okay. So there is another picture. There's the Embudo Station Bridge. There's the Chile line going through those two private lots. And that's part that's parking and bathrooms. That's the part that's actually for sale right now, that, you know, would be just amazing if, you know, that became public land. Okay, so let me go to another picture. Okay, so this picture is the wave at Abiqui right after they finished building it. So it's not a super complex thing. Is, you know, as you can see, it's just a band of boulders there under the water. This is probably like 100 CFS going over this, or less, maybe 80 CFS going over this. And then the boulders are filled in with gravel. So they did this the cheapest way possible. And now let me go to the next picture. And so this, I shares because it's a little video and it may not share. I don't know. Okay, well, it didn't share as a video, but that's it at 400 CFS, which is the minimum amount of water you kind of need to form a wave and start surfing on it. But that little wave right there drives people, you know, people come from Durango, you know, people have made movies on YouTube already about surfing this little feature. But, you know, if you look at each one of those diversions, man, the boulders, everything's just sitting right there. And then this money is supposed to be around to rebuild these things, to get them ready for the next generation and clean them up. So it's like, seems like making them safe. And maybe they just happen to be a surf wave, or at least one of them, you know, for people to come up and have their, you know, nice little beach scene. This is the wave up in Del Norte that they built not too long, a couple of years ago. You can kind of see a similar diversion going across, how it spills over in the middle and you get a wave. This is a really fun wave to surf. This is it at low water, but I just wanted to show you how it was made. And so, you know, we can kind of compare it to what's available at that first diversion. And then this is a comparable spot, this with CFS. This is in Montrose, Colorado. And this is, you know, there's an irrigation diversion there right on the side. They've made some boulders for people to hang out and watch the surfers. So that's comparable in CFS to what's going on here in the Rio Grande. It's actually, you know, really good level right now. You, like I said, you need like at least 500 CFS. And I think there's like almost 1,000 CFS out there today, which is like awesome. Okay, let me go for another picture. This is this wave in Germany. Probably this is like one of the waves that got river surfing going. This is in Munich, Germany, and it's called the Eisbach wave. And believe it or not, this is just formed with the board. It's chained on the sides. It's like a 10-inch board. And, this is world famous place. And the thing about surf waves is you build a feature and it begins a community. It's like it starts growing. You can't stop it from growing, and it connects to the other waves. Like I said, people travel. Once you can get up on one wave, then you go to the next one. Okay, let me get another photo going here. This is that same wave in Munich. Now these waves are kind of going up all over the place too. There's a lot more going on in Canada, in Germany, and the Czech Republic. And this is something like, can you imagine this is like on the canal in Albuquerque? Like I can remember trying to learn how to roll in the canal down by, I don't know, somewhere in Albuquerque, and somebody was like, you need to go to the Highland Pool where they have roll sessions. And that was crucial. But, there's so many little places like this along the Rio Grande where this could be happening. I feel like it's something that's already happening. It's not even reinventing the wheel. It's like something that we've all been watching happen in Colorado, and it's warmer here, and we don't have a lot of water in New Mexico, but it actually all happens to go, right by us here. And, all these diversions, which are hindrances right now, could turn around and be the opposite of that. So I just want to show this picture one more time of what I'm talking about, this first diversion. And can you see it? I mean, they got to clean this thing up anyway. The boulder's already there. All the sand is there. The water's there. It just seems like it's something that would be really good. Can you imagine how good this would be for Velarde? There could be a coffee shop. Maybe somebody's going to open up a brew pub there. Like I said, it's the surfers are the 1%. It's all the other people that come up to be a part of what's going on there and just hang out and see people surfing.
Hey, Ed, this is Scott.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about some of the features downstream of this Velarde feature as well? There's more diversions downstream that may be utilized.
Totally. Let me go to another picture just to show you what's happening at this one. That diversion. So there's 5 just in, I think it's a 3-mile stretch from Velarde to Leiden to the next bridge that crosses the river, the next, state road bridge. There's like 5 diversions there. So literally that little stretch all around Velarde could be like surf capital, And when I say that, I mean, it's like for people, on surfboards, kayaking, just hanging out, watching those people, those kind of locations. So whereas right now it's totally unrunnable. This is another wave. This is, even those spillways could be a surf wave. This is a more of a totally mechanical wave. I think this wave's in the Czech Republic, but the same gates that you use to move the gates open to let in irrigation water, those same kind of systems, they can use to actually make adjustable waves. So this sport is not, it's growing, and it's growing pretty fast. And I think that it can get pretty big. And when I say that, I'm a guy that when I graduated from high school in 1985, snowboarding didn't exist, and now snowboarding's here, and, even skateboarding isn't that far down the road from when it started. So I feel like, anything that's only going to cost $300 for somebody to get into, then kids are going to get into it. And it's super challenging, when it comes to balance and everything like that. So it's almost, like skateboarding or riding your bike, it's limitless in how much people can get out of it, depending on what they put into it. And like I said, this is also not reinventing the wheel. This is something that's already showing success just across the border, just north. This is 2 years, so in the last 2 years, right around us, they built the Abiqui wave, and then they also built a wave in Del Norte, Colorado. Let me show you this wave in Del Norte. I showed you a picture when it was lower. I won't waste your time by bringing it up again, but This is that wave up in Del Norte. So, I mean, right now, this time of year, you can actually go on a surf safari, get in your car, go start at Abiqui, then go over and have some nice hot springs at Pagosa Springs, have a great time there, then drive over the pass and go to Del Norte, surf it up there, then go over, you know, to Salida. I mean, people are going to be coming here to go on vacation. New Mexico is definitely going to be the sunny spot, the nice warm place that's happening after Colorado has already gotten cold, and, you know, before, you know, in the springtime, it's just like just the perfect off-season place for people who want to come south and get some warmer water. The thing is, with a wave, you don't have to even know how to surf. I mean, it all starts with just having a great boogie board ride, and then it goes from there. And like anybody can boogie board. It's a total blast. So right away, you know, your little coffee shop is selling a boogie board or whatever. Boogie boards are like, you know, I don't know, $30, $50 or something, you know? So it's just going to open the door for more people. And, you know, I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way, but the more people that are on the river, the more people are going to fall in love with the river. And the more people fall in love with the river, the more people are going to care, you know, about what's in the river.
Where to begin with this?
Exactly. Like, I feel like this, because it's all BLM land, like all that work they did in the state park, I'm just watching that happen. And it's just like, you know, they've done a great job. It almost needs to be, I feel like that's what I want my tax money to go for. That's how, when I pay taxes, I want to see stuff like this being made, you know? And so I kind of want that to happen somehow. And so if there's anybody has an in with the BLM or can get it on their radar, because I don't think I can do it as an individual, you know? But I think that an organization could maybe do that. And that, I guess that's what I'm looking for. And then once that happens, then I can send emails to people and stuff. I don't think it's going to be hard. You know, it's not going to be hard to find a bunch of emails. It's just who's the person that's going to be listening to this and getting it to happen. This is a Sleeping Beauty wave. So this was Sleeping Beauty. This is like maybe 1200 CFS. And it was the only wave in New Mexico surfing. And it's spectacular. Unfortunately, it changed. The river, you know, the river changes, and it changed. And so it's still a great kayaking hole, but it's no longer a good surf wave hole. But, you know, this isn't too far away, but this is the kind of scene that I imagine when people come to watch people surfing. You know, you got some Apache plume. It's a New Mexico experience, completely unique, you know, after you've eaten your green chili cheese enchiladas, maybe you had some wine up at the winery, you know. It's just, New Mexico has so much to offer, especially along the Rio Grande. And I feel like this whole section is just untapped. And there's not a lot of private property around it. So there's not people to be not in my backyard kind of mentality. You know, I live on the river and I love seeing people go by the river, you know. So, and a lot of us up here do, but this is just totally safe because it's on a section of river. There's only the highway next to it and the Chile line. And the cool thing about the Velarde the Embudo to Velarde stretch is the highway is next to the river, but it's actually way above the river. So when you're on the river, it's like you don't even notice the highway because you're down in the core of the river. It's really nice. Whereas like when you're in the state park, you know, the state park is nice, but the highway's right there. It's kind of wide and flat. And this is moving a little bit better at it. It's a really nice section of river that's before you have to drive through all the canyons to get there. So maybe that would relieve some of the stress on some of the other locations on the river, kind of spread out the traffic on the river, and especially bring that traffic out of the canyon. And bring it next to a little town that could really benefit economically from people coming there. I think an example of like, you know, is Bodie's up in Abiqui. You know, I don't know how much that place makes, but it must make millions. And this just because there's really not much else out there, you know? So I could see Velarde really benefiting from this. I like the term surf park because, you know, that's what you're going there to surf, and it's public, it's a park. And, you know, and Whitewater, I think is like, kind of has a different connotation. Like it's like whitewater is like, you're in a rapid, maybe that would be scary. And I don't want to take away from whitewater, but I'm really trying to push this like surf park.
Well, this is park and play. It's ideal, but I'd really like to see the river through Espanola developed.
Well, to me, that's the long-term thing. I mean, the ultimate
Yeah.
location because you have the Rio Chama and the Rio Grande confluencing above Espanola. I mean, Espanola is the diamond in the rough. That could be one of the best places to surf in the US. And I'm not kidding you on that, because it's consistently got, over 600 CFS all year long, and you got a casino right next to the river, man. You have the Hotel Santa Clara right there. I mean, if the Pueblos ever got onto this, which I hope they do down the road, especially Santa Clara, I mean, that could just totally change Espanola. They're right downtown in the old part of Espanola. There's an old movie theater down there. It's just like could be incredible. But there's years and years of history there, and that's a real challenge. But I feel like Velarde is a doable thing. It's BLM property. I talked to people at the acequia meeting for Rio Riva. There's 89 people there. People were really supportive. The county commissioner, James Martinez, came and talked to me afterwards, said he was interested. Roger Montoya is totally supportive of it. I mean, everybody was just like you guys. They're like, yeah, this sounds like a great idea. So I don't know. It seems like it's something that could happen. Abiqui happened, and I feel like that's just been proof that it works. But like I said, this isn't complicated. It's happening in Colorado. It's been happening,
Abiqui started out as a fundraising event at your house, barbecue event, trying to gain interest into that. So props to you for being behind that.
Thank you. I mean, I got to give the props to, local paddlers, and also New Mexico Game and Fish and the Army Corps of Engineers. It was them listening and having a willing ear that made that happen. So, and it's so sad right now, we have to let water go. But if you got to let the water go, you may as well surf it as it goes by and get something out of it. Oh, I got one more thing to show you guys, and that is, so if you want to run this section of river, we did make a nice little takeout there, and but it's really small, but I do want to show you this. So see that the green arrow is pointing to the little green dot, and then I should have taken a picture of the actual guardrail, but there's a guardrail there. There's a little parking spot. There's room for like 2 cars there on River Right. I'm sorry, on the west side of the highway, or the right side of the highway if you're driving south.
Yes.
And right in the middle of that, there's a white rock on one of the guardrails. And if you step over the guardrail, there's a nice trail that goes through the willows right to the river before you have to deal with the diversion. And
So that used to be the takeout for the downriver race, Mother's Day.
that's, there's so many cool things about that place there. There's, it gets a lot of wind, and so there's a huge sandbar there, so you can actually fly a kite. I mean, it is kind of like being at the beach. It's just it would be a really fun really fun place for people to hang out. Like I said, they're already going up to Embudo Station. They're already driving in the canyon and going right there at Embudo Station. It's a small space, and there's some conflict there. So bring it out of the canyon, put some nice bathrooms there. Could be fabulous.
Yeah.
Ed, what do you think capacity is for parking there at the Velarde River access point?
Looks like there's a lot, especially if you go just downstream of that picture where the green arrow is. There is a lot of land there next to the river. So yeah, it seems like there's room for enough parking. Like when I'm thinking, the space I see is the size of the John Dunn Bridge, in the state park.
Yeah, so just downstream of there is the historical marker and a pullout. But I think there's a bunch of just overgrown land there. There'd be quite a bit of room.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff there. Like I said, there's this whole area of the Rio Grande is really covered with petroglyphs. I mean, from here all the way down to Leiden. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I forgot Mesa, Prieta, petroglyphs are there. But even on this other side of the river, I mean, that is the entrance of a canyon archaeologically had some major importance because there's just tons of cool ruins and stuff on river left too. I mean, along with the historic Chile line, it's really could be kind of a flagship spot for New Mexico river recreation, Embudo Station, man. I mean, that's the big dream. And this is cool here in Velarde, the diversion, but if it got connected with Embudo Station, man, that would be incredible. They could have, when you talk about a visitor center, that'd be perfect. Right on the river, put in, catch the Chile line, ride your bike down, do a bike shuttle,
So is this something that is BLM looking to do something with this diversion dam in the near future? What are the plans there?
Okay, the BLM doesn't have anything to do with the diversions, and I'm not quite sure who does yet. I should know by now, but I don't.
Diversion would be Corps of Engineers, wouldn't it?
I know the Corps of Engineers has to do the permitting, but it might be the State Land Commission that actually owns the diversions. I'm not sure. So I don't know. But I know if you have to get a permit, which those diversions already have a permit, but those are all things that I don't really know yet. But all that land around there is from that picture is, everything around there is BLM. So like I said, just those red partitioned off land, those are actually the plots of private land. So you can see how much of that is public land. I just want to put this one little quick thing out there too, is like, kayaking's fabulous. I love kayaking, always love kayaking, but it's so exclusive. It's so expensive. And, all the river sports pretty much are, except for boogie boarding and river surfing. Anybody can go boogie boarding the first time they try. And that's $50 for your boogie board, or your buddy lent it to you or whatever. And you're on the river getting hooked, And so I think this is like a huge door open. Once you start this community spot, the door is open and the community will grow. Thank you so much for your time.